Hi there. I'm here today to talk to you about the Canadian Emergency Business Account and how that program is working. My name's Tammy Christensen. I'm a certified professional bookkeeper and I'm also the managing director of Able Business Services. Today we're going to cover off a few things quickly just to make sure that you really understand this program and how it's going to work. So questions you might have are, will I qualify? How much can I borrow? How is this program working in terms of the timeline, and when is it interest-free, when is it not? What do I need to do to apply? Also, something that might not be a question that you have and that a lot of people seem to be glossing over, but I think is really important, is there's actual qualifications within the loan agreement itself to talk about what it can actually be used for. So if you apply for this, how can these funds be used?
So let's discuss the Canada Emergency Business Account. One of the biggest questions people are asking is, will I qualify? The two things that will allow you to qualify are you a registered business, and did you have between $50,000 and $1 million in gross payroll on T4s in 2019? So it's box 14 on your T4A summary where you're going to know that answer. How much can I borrow? Up to $40,000. Something that's important to note is if you have multiple bank accounts with different banks for your business, only apply once at your primary bank. Do not apply at multiple banks. This could cause you big issues with the CRA, and nobody wants that. So if you got emails from two different banks, that does not mean you can apply at both of those banks. I would not recommend that at all. Let's talk about the timeline for a minute. So the Canadian Emergency Business Account, the program was announced March 27th and it went live on April the 9th, 2020. And that's when applications could start. They're expecting about a 5-day turnaround period for this program, like for the money to be available to you if you are approved. So from the moment that you're approved until December 31st, 2020, at most banks, this will be operating as an interest-free revolving line of credit, meaning as you need funds, they will automatically go into your bank account when you go into overdraft. And as soon as funds go into your bank account, those funds will go back to paying the line of credit. So you won't see an extra balance sitting in your bank account. And this will be interest-free for the interim. Now on January the 1st, 2021, most of the banks, we've seen the way that they're running the program is that this will be converted into a non-revolving 5-year term loan. What does that mean? That means that it's no longer a line of credit. You can no longer borrow some of that money from it. Everything that's owing at that point is what you will have to pay back. And whatever is not used at that point, you cannot take out. On December 31st, 2022, that's your last day to pay 75% of the loan value in order to have 25% forgiven. So people are talking about that $10,000. Well, it's 25% of whatever you ended up borrowing on this program. So if you did max out the line of credit and it was $40,000 owing, then you have to have paid $30,000 for them to not continue that other $10,000 as something that you owe. And because that's the last day to have that money forgiven, the following day on January 1st, 2023, that's when your interest starts accruing. So it's going to be 5% per annum. It's compounded, it's calculated daily and compounded monthly. So from January 1st, 2023 until December 31st, 2025 is when it'll operate as a normal loan with interest. And it has to be fully paid off by 2025. So we're fully expecting that you will see specific payments that the bank will require you to make in that period. What are you going to need as a business? If you do end up paying interest, it's absolutely essential that you get yourself an amortization schedule so that you can track what you're paying in principal versus what you're paying in interest. Without that, your bookkeeping is going to be a nightmare, and with all of these government programs, keeping up-to-date books is key. So what do I need to apply for this program? Well, you need the ability to log into online banking. If you're an RBC Express user or another user like that where you don't log in to the typical online banking for business that people are using, you might need to reach out to your bank. I know for a lot of RBC users, you've probably seen emails from someone saying, okay, you don't log into online banking, this is your workaround. If you don't have that email yet, reach out to your account manager and they'll try to help you. I know the banks are trying to keep this application process as much as you do it yourself so that their systems don't become overwhelmed. But in that case, that would be a good time to reach out to your bank for support. You're also going to need your 2019 T4 summary because your eligibility to this program is based on what you paid in payroll last year. So that's where you're going to get that information. Box 14 on that T4 summary is the key piece of information that you're going to be adding in, as well as your employer number with the CRA. And you're going to need that in the 15-digit format. So it'll be 9 numbers, RP, and then 4 digits after that. Most commonly 0001, unless you have multiple locations and you've split them out by payroll number, then it would be 0002, 0003. Another key thing that you need to know when you're applying for this is that you need the ability to bind the business. So if your situation usually requires 2 shareholders or partners to sign for something to be lasting, depending on your partnership agreement or your articles of incorporation, you should have a signed resolution in place between the 2 of you before one of you proceeds to apply for this. That is going to be key. Something that isn't necessarily being talked about a lot, I certainly didn't see this in the news when I was following coverage, but is a key thing to note within these loan agreements that you're agreeing to. So for all of you who don't like to read the full agreement before you sign it, and I can't blame you, I'm not a huge fan of legalese myself, you need to know that within the wording of the loan itself, it's qualifying what the funds can be used for. So don't get yourself in trouble by not knowing this information. So this is pulled out of the TD agreement that we were able to get a copy of online without applying. I haven't seen agreements with the other banks yet, but as I do, if anything looks different, I'll add something to the comments of this video so that you can be aware. So this loan shall only be used for you to pay your non-deferrable operating expenses, including without limitation, payroll, rent, utilities, insurance, property tax, and regularly scheduled debt service. So you can pay your regular bills with this. What you can't pay is that this may not be used to fund any payments or expenses such as prepayment or refinancing of existing indebtedness. So if you owe money on another line of credit or a credit card, you shouldn't be using this specifically to pay off where you have a bunch of interest accruing so that you're just sitting on the money. That's not the intent of this. Don't use this to pay dividends to shareholders or do any distributions or that sort of thing. And don't use this for increases in management compensation. Also, if you're looking at this as a form of a way to do an expansion in the current time, that I've been told from a couple different CPAs is not within the intention of the program, and it could come back to bite you because the government has the right to come back and audit how it is that you've used these funds. They might ask questions like, where were these funds used? And you need to be able to show that these funds were used for payroll, rent, utilities, insurance, property tax, or regularly scheduled payments.
Hopefully, that information helps give you an idea of what it is you're signing up for if you do decide to go forward with this program. If you have any further questions, leave a comment below. Reach out to us.